Kenny Bednarek did not just win in Rabat, he ran 19.69, broke the meeting record, and made the 200 meters feel crowded again. Letsile Tebogo was behind him, Andre de Grasse's old record was gone, and Noah Lyles suddenly had another problem. This was not just a fast race, it was a warning about who is coming for the whole event. Kenny Bednarek has spent years standing close to the center of the 200 meters without always being treated like the center of it. That is what made Rabat so important. At the 2026 Diamond League meeting in Morocco, Bednarek ran 19.69 seconds. The wind was legal at plus 0.3. He broke the meeting record that Andre de Grasse had held for 9 years. He beat Olympic champion Letsile Tebogo, who finished second in 19.96. Sinesifo Dambiel ran 20.03 for third. De Grasse himself was in the race and finished fifth in 20.16. This is why 19.69 matters. Bednarek did not run a nice race in a quiet lane. He beat a global champion, erased a meeting record, and reminded everyone that the 200 meters is not only Noah Lyles versus the future. It is a war with more than one front. That is exactly why this result feels bigger than May. Rabat was not supposed to feel like a final, but the field gave it real weight. Tebogo was there, and that changed everything. He is not just another fast name. He is the Olympic 200-meter champion from Paris. He beat Lyles in that Olympic final and gave Botswana one of the greatest track moments in its history. So when Bednarek beat Tebogo by 0.27 seconds in Rabat, the result carried meaning. It showed that Bednarek is not waiting for a championship to look dangerous. He is already putting fast times on the board and beating the men he may need to beat later. The race also mattered because of de Grasse. His old Rabat meeting record had stood since 2017. De Grasse is an Olympic 200-meter champion and one of the best big race sprinters of the last decade. Breaking his meet record was not just a small note. It connected Bednarek's run to a serious 200-meter legacy. To understand Bednarek, you have to understand the strange place he has lived in the event. He has been one of the most consistent 200-meter sprinters in the world, but consistency can become invisible when other people get louder headlines. He won Olympic silver in Tokyo in 2021. He won world silver in Eugene in 2022. He won Olympic silver again in Paris in 2024. Those are not small medals. That is a resume most sprinters would dream of. But silver can be cruel. It proves you are world-class, but it also keeps putting another man's name above yours. Lyles has often been that man. Tebogo became that man in Paris. Bednarek has spent years close enough to scare the top, but not always close enough to own the story. That is why Rabat feels different. A 19.69 in May does not give him a world title, but it changes the tone. It tells everyone that Bednarek is not just the reliable medal threat. He is a man who can run fast enough, early enough, to bend the season around him. The biggest message in Rabat may have been for Noah Lyles. Lyles is still the most decorated 200-meter man of this era. He is a 4-time world champion in the event. He ran 19.31 in 2022, the American record, and made the 200 feel like his house for years. But Lyles does not own the event without challenge anymore. Paris proved that. Tebogo beat him for Olympic gold. Bednarek took silver. The gap at the top became real, and now 2026 is starting with Bednarek running 19.69 while the season is still young. This is the kind of number Lyles has to respect. Not because it is near his personal best, but because it shows Bednarek is already sharp. If a man runs 19.69 before the biggest meets arrive, the question becomes simple. What happens when he peaks? The 200-meter race is not only about Lyles and Bednarek either. Tebogo is still a major force, even after losing in Rabat. One race does not erase an Olympic champion. He has already shown that he can handle the pressure of a final and beat the biggest names when it matters most. Then there is Gout. He is still young, but his 19.67 in Australia changed the future conversation. That time was faster than Bednarek's Rabat mark by 0.02, and it came with the kind of teenage shock that track fans love. But Gout still has to prove the senior part. Bednarek already lives there. That is the difference. Gout is the future storm. Tebogo is the Olympic champion. Lyles is the world championship king. Bednarek is the man who keeps showing up with medals and now has a 19.69 statement to start the season. The event is not clean anymore. That is what makes it so good. The 200 meters is one of the hardest races to fake. A good start helps, but it does not finish the job. The bend asks for balance and power. The transition off the curve asks for patience. The last 50 meters asks whether the sprinter can stay relaxed when the body begins to fight. Bednarek's strength has always been how direct he looks. He runs with force, but not chaos. When he is right, he keeps pressure on the field from the curve and makes the straight feel shorter than it really is. In Rabat, that mattered. He did not wait for the race to become close late. He created separation and made Tebogo chase. That is the kind of pattern Bednarek needs against Lyles too. If he lets Lyles stay comfortable, Lyles can close with confidence. If he makes the race hurt early, the final straight becomes a different fight. The honest part is this. A 19.69 in Rabat does not mean Bednarek is now the clear number one in the world. It does not make him the favorite over every man in every championship race. It does not erase Lyles's world titles or Tebogo's Olympic gold. It is also still early. Sprinters are at different points in training. Some are building, some are testing. Some may not be ready to show their best. A Diamond League win in May is important, but it is not the same as a final in late summer. There is also the issue of timing. Bednarek has been brilliant many times, but the question has often been whether he can find the one race that puts him above everyone when the biggest medal is on the line. That is the last step. Not speed. Not respect. The win. Rabat changes the season because it changes pressure. Before this race, people could build the 200-meter story around Lyles trying to answer Tebogo, Gout rising fast, and the usual big names circling. After 19.69, Bednarek is no longer a side part of that story. He is near the center that matters for race planning. If Bednarek enters a meet, nobody can treat him like a safe silver pick. The event now has a world championship king in Lyles, an Olympic champion in Tebogo, a teenage storm in Gout, and a proven medal machine in Bednarek, who just ran a meeting record and beat serious men by daylight. That is why this race changed the season. It brought Bednarek from the edge of the headline back into the main fight. It reminded everyone that silver medals do not mean a man is stuck behind history forever. Sometimes they are warnings that a win is coming. Rabat was not the final answer. It was the first loud one. And if Kenny Bednarek keeps running like this, the next 200-meter showdown will not be about who is chasing Noah Lyles. It will be about who survives the bend when Bednarek decides the race belongs to him.